Mystic Reader's Review. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Animal Farm is the novel which describes the ideals and the dangerous decisions taken at the beginning of the 20th century. The book illuminates the reader on one of the darkest periods of modern history. At the beginning of the 20th century, dictators rose to power and the poor suffered. Animalism is the allegorical name of communism, and this book paints the terrible picture of a society which knows what it wants but manages to create the exact opposite. Communism and fascism combine in this book to create totalitarianism, a society of farm animals ruled by one dominant race, the pigs. To understand the pandemonium communism creates once it is put in place, we have to understand what communism is: a completely classless society. Napoleon is the leading pig who represents Stalin, the cruel Russian dictator. Napoleon ends up ruling the farm, and he changes his behavior up to the point where he is completely indistinguishable from men. All the ideals and principles of a classless society, which are initially introduced by Old Major on page 18, are all defied and horribly twisted into a multitude of lies and carefully plotted schemes. Squealer, who is Napoleon's advisor, manages to change each and every one of the 7 commandments to his and Napoleon's advantage. From Old Mayor's initial speech of justice, whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. We must not come to resemble man in any way. No animal must ever live in a house, drink alcohol, sleep in a bed, or wear clothes. Amongst us animals there must be unity and comradeship. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal and free. Only a bunch of lies and deceit come out of it in the end. For example, on page 105, Boxer, who is the strongest and most loyal worker on the farm, gets sent to the slaughterhouse by Napoleon and Squealer for some whiskey. This inhumane action is the proof that the commandments are only a means of getting advantage of the other animals, even at the cost of their lives. It is interesting to note that at the beginning of the novel there is a hatred towards the farm owner, Mr. Jones, who represents the allegorical figure of Tsar Nicholas II. This hatred is nourished to the point where the animals take control of the farm. Throughout the course of events we can see the hatred the animals, and therefore the humans in the real world, prove towards Mr. Jones and his monarchic reign. In Russia, the same revolution took place. Tsar Nicholas II was overthrown by the first communist coup, which had been masterminded by Lenin and Trotsky. Though in the end there is no difference between a man-based monarchy and a pig-based monarchy. Old Major, the boar whose speech about animalism leads to the rebellion, is the allegorical figure of Karl Marx, who is the founder of communism. There is rivalry between Napoleon and Snowball, which is highlighted at page 50. These two disagreed at every point where disagreement was possible, which can be compared to the rivalry between Stalin and Trotsky. Neither would agree on the other's proposals. Napoleon eventually triumphs over Snowball on page 54, where the dogs, represented as the KGB, Napoleon had stolen from Jessie and Bluebell at page 38, had been trained into killers and had been completely brainwashed into fighting for his cause. They attack Snowball and banish him from the farm. With this dreadful deed the reader is introduced to a new reality, the reality of dictatorship. Snowball was the last hope for freedom and true animalism, an animalism which would reflect the principles illustrated by Old Major. But now animalism has taken a major blow. Freedom is over, happiness is over. The once fruitful and hoped-for dream of a classless society is not only gone, but it is U-turned, completely altered. You could argue that Snowball was himself, just like all the other pigs, commanding the other animals, like in page 33, where the pigs, including Snowball, did not actually work, but directed and supervised the others. Snowball, though, never took advantage of the other animals, whilst Napoleon and Squealer seemed to be making it their priority. With their freedom gone, the animals become more and more discontent. Only one animal seems unchanged throughout the novel, Benjamin. Benjamin never does more or less than what he needs to do. He is always the same, non-caring. Benjamin is the smartest animal on the farm, and the oldest. He has been through this disastrous situation many times. Dark ages begin for the farm. Animals are slaughtered with hideous cruelty by the dogs, and no one dares to defy Napoleon. Exactly like Stalin, the communist has become the dictator. There really is not much difference, seems to tell us the author. In the end, we get an idea of how some ideals which are extraordinarily beautiful and rose-coloured, a classless equal society, are actually very hard, if not impossible, to activate. Orwell tells us that the only true form of government is capitalism. The whole book is an allegory depicting the disasters of the communist society. Eventually, even Napoleon will fall, as did Stalin, and this hope is brought to us by Benjamin. Benjamin has experienced everything before, and there is no reason why he can't experience everything again. The tyranny as well as the freedom. But there are always survivors, and these will not make future generations make the same mistakes. ESP, 14 years old, by Mr. Krieger.